Have you ever wondered what pushes a woman to walk away from her own blood? Not in anger, not in madness, but in silence, with painted lips and trembling hands? The story begins in a Gunbally, a restless city that never fully wakes and never truly sleeps. In the morning, the smell of a car and dust fills the air. Hawkers call out like drummers announcing the start of a dance. By night, music pours from corner bars, and taxi horns fight for attention with loud laughter from roadside tables. People here live fast, talk loud, and hide secrets under layers of perfume and powder. It was in this same city that a woman named Amarachi became famous, not for kindness, not for business, but for her beauty, boldness, and the way she lit up a party like a firecracker in dry Harmattan. They called her Madame Lush. Amarachi was the kind of woman who could turn heads with just a swing of her hips. Every weekend, she wore gowns that sparkled like water under the moon. Her nails were long, red, and always pointed. Her phone was full of pictures but empty of family. She lived in a one-room flat, but her online photos made it look like she owned the whole estate. She didn't hate children. She just didn't see where they could fit into the life she had built. She told herself she still had time, that one day, when she had enough money, when the right man came, when the noise settled, then maybe, just maybe. But life doesn't always wait for permission. One night, after weeks of ignoring the growing heaviness in her body, Amarachi felt her water break while dancing in a crowded nightclub. She slipped out quietly, hailed a bike, and by dawn, she was in a small room at the back of a chemist shop, biting her lip to keep from screaming. Two girls, tiny, fragile, breathing, alive. They didn't cry much. One opened her eyes and blinked like she was already tired of this world. The other simply curled into Amarachi's chest, searching for warmth. For a moment, everything went still. Even Amarachi forgot the noise of the city outside. But when the first rooster crowed and the sun touched the edge of the zinc roof, reality crept in like a thief. 2 mouths, 2 futures, 2 chains, no baby shower, no welcome, no help. By evening, Amarachi sat alone, her body still sore, her mind loud. The twins lay beside her, wrapped in a torn wrapper she once used as a headscarf. She hadn't named them. She hadn't even looked at them properly. She paced the room, sat down, stood again. She picked up her phone, scrolled through old photos, parties, poses, champagne, dancing with strangers who'd long forgotten her name. She told herself it wasn't her fault, that the man who did this to her vanished without a word, that she had no job, no family nearby, no plan. So, when night fell again, Amarachi wrapped the babies tighter, tucked them into the only shawl she had left, and stepped into the street. Her face was blank, but her feet were shaking. She walked past the bars where music played, past the fruit sellers packing up for the day, past the boys arguing over a football match. Nobody noticed her. She was always dressed like this, quiet clothes, head covered. But inside, something was breaking. She reached the back of an open market. The smell of spoiled onions and burnt nylon filled the air. A single trash bin stood near the wall, full but still room for more. Amarachi looked down at the babies. One yawned. The other sneezed. She held them close and froze. Right there, her whole life hung in the space between 2 heartbeats. Will she drop them? Will she change her mind? Let's stop here, for now. Stories like this don't come easy. They carry weight. Not every mother is bad. Not every decision is simple. What do you think she will do? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Because sometimes sharing stories isn't just about telling. It's about listening too. That night in a Gunbally, the city did what it always does. It moved on. Music played. Laughter echoed. Life didn't pause for 2 newborns left behind a market stall. But fate is not so careless. As dawn stretched over the rooftops, a woman named Mamayev swept her usual path along the market gutters. She was old, maybe 60, maybe more. Nobody really knew. She had never had children of her own, though she prayed for them every night. When she heard the soft whimper from behind the trash bin, her broom stopped midair. At first, she thought it was a cat. Then she heard it again. 2 cries, thin, weak, almost apologetic. She rushed over, and there they were, the twins, wrapped together, faces smudged but still breathing. She didn't ask questions. She didn't call the police. She just picked them up and whispered, "You didn't fall here by mistake." From that moment, their story changed. Mamaev didn't have much. She lived in a 1-room wooden house near the edge of the market, just beside the railway line. Her roof leaked during the rains. Her food was whatever she could save from spoiling vegetables. But she had love, the kind that doesn't shout, the kind that shows up every single day. She named the girls Ada and Anu. Ada was the louder one, always grabbing things and kicking her little feet. Anu was quieter, always watching, always blinking slowly like she was listening to something bigger than the room. Years passed. No one came looking for them. Not Amarachi. Not anyone. The girls grew up beside smoky fires and rusty pots. They fetched water with bowls bigger than their heads. They hawked groundnuts after school. They wore second-hand shoes and made dolls out of sticks. But they had something many rich children never find: each other. By age 10, they were running errands for shopkeepers. At 13, they helped Mamaev grind pepper and sold it in nylon bags. Life was hard, yes, but their minds were sharp. One day, after school, Ada found a broken phone someone had thrown away. Anu took it apart and studied it like it was a puzzle sent from the heavens. From there, something sparked. The girls began learning. Not in the usual way, not in classrooms with chalk and cane, but through whatever they could find. They visited a nearby library built by a church group. They read books about business, science, and technology. They didn't just dream of escaping poverty. They made plans. By 16, they had a small hustle selling Mamaev shea butter and black soap. They branded it. Anu drew the logo on old paper with pencil. Ada went from store to store marketing it with confidence no one could ignore. At first, people laughed. "You these market twins, go and wash plate." But slowly, the laughter faded. Their shea butter worked. Their customer base grew. They saved every coin. By the time they reached 20, they had launched a small online store with the help of a local cyber cafe boy who believed in their fire. Orders began to trickle in, from Lagos, Abuja, then even Ghana. They reinvested every kobo. They added packaging, wrote better stories about the product, created a name people could trust. The brand was called Twice Born. Nobody knew why. But those who used it came back again and again. A Lagos influencer accidentally tried their soap and tagged them in a video. Everything changed overnight. Orders flooded in. The website crashed. Distributors called. Investors reached out. From 2 abandoned babies to young women running an international skincare brand, their name began to travel farther than a Gumbly ever could. But even in their rising glory, they never left Mamaev. They bought her a better home, gave her rest. She became their manager, their prayer warrior, their compass. Meanwhile, somewhere in that same city, Amarachi was growing older. The parties stopped calling. The hair grew thin. The heels broke. Friends faded. One by one, the lights that once made her feel important dimmed. She lived alone in a small compound room now. Sometimes she stared at her mirror and asked herself if it ever happened, if those babies were real or just a memory her mind created to punish her. Until one day, as she scrolled through a neighbor's phone, she saw them. Ada, Anu, being interviewed on national TV, talking about their journey, their business. Their mother, Mamaev. Amarachi's hand shook. She paused the video, stared hard at the screen. The faces, those eyes. She didn't cry. She just sat still. What would you do if the children you threw away became everything you thought you'd never need? But we'll save that answer for the next part of the story. Before we go, I'd love to know what you think. Should Emirachi reach out? Should the girls accept her if she does? Tell me in the comments. I'll be there, listening like a neighbor on a quiet evening. When the girls appeared on national TV, they didn't speak with pride or show off. They spoke with gratitude, calm, clear, and full of focus. Ada talked about growing a business with no father, no surname, no privilege. Anu spoke of finding purpose, not revenge. The interviewer asked, "Where's your real mother?" They smiled the same smile and answered together. "She found us in the trash, but she gave us love. Her name is Mama F." That sentence broke something in Amarachi. She replayed the video again and again. Each time, the words hit her harder. Not because they called someone else mother, but because they didn't even remember her. They had lived a full life. Without her, she spent the next few days pacing her room, unsure what to do. Should she show up? Should she confess? Would they accept her? Hate her? Or worse, ignore her? If you were Emirachi, would you dare to show your face? Or would you hide in silence forever? She wrote a letter, then tore it, picked up her phone, put it down. In the end, she took a taxi to Twiceborn's office building. It was a tall, white structure near the heart of the city. Guards stood by the gate, polite but firm. Her wrapper was neat. Her face was plain. She told them her name. They asked if she had an appointment. She said softly, "I am their mother." The guard blinked, then slowly stepped aside to call someone. A few minutes later, a young assistant came down, well-dressed, polite. "Ma, I'm sorry. They are not available to meet unexpected guests." Amarachi nodded. "Tell them Amarachi came. Just Amarachi. They will know." The assistant tilted her head slightly. "Ma, they know. They asked me to give you this." She handed her a sealed white envelope. Amarachi took it with shaking hands. She didn't open it until she got back home. Inside was a handwritten note. "We know who you are. We have no hatred in our hearts. But we have already been raised by love, not by apology. We wish you peace. No cameras. No stories. Just peace." Ada and Anu. There was no anger in the words. Just distance. She sat on her floor that night, reading it again and again. No tears came. Maybe she had used them all in younger years. Maybe there were no tears left for this kind of silence. Would you have forgiven her if you were in their place? Or is some pain too deep to allow return? From then on, Emirachi lived quietly. She sometimes saw her daughters in newspapers or billboards. She never tried again. Meanwhile, Ada and Anu continued to rise. They expanded into global markets, built schools for girls in rural towns, opened free training centers for young entrepreneurs. In every interview, they said the same thing. We were raised by a woman who had nothing but gave everything. They never changed their story. They never forgot the gutter they came from. And they never called Amarachi enemy. Because some stories don't need revenge. Some wounds heal in quiet. And some twins are born twice. Once by flesh, once by fate. If your beginning was thrown away, would you still believe in your own happy ending? That's how the story ends. Not with noise, not with shouting, but with two women walking into the future and one woman watching from behind. Let this tale sit with you a while. And when you're ready, tell me what part stayed in your heart the most. I'll be in the comments, listening, just like every good,